Hey, hello everyone, and welcome to my latest Fireside chat. Joined today by Simon Chalk, MD of Later Living Now. Morning, Simon.
Good morning, Nick.
I'm accredited by the Society of Later Life Advisors, so SOLA or SOLA, depending on who you speak to. And so I recently found Simon through SOLA. So, Simon, can you tell us why you think solar is important, your role within it, and indeed whether you say solar or solar?
Thank you, Nick. Well, I've been saying solar because there's two L's, so I think that phonetically speaking, that's the correct pronunciation of the word. Why is it important? Well, there was a gap in the sense that a member of the public might need specific advice relating to their needs in later life, either at the point of need or planning ahead for the future, but I'd know where to turn. Lots of financial advisors out there, some good, some bad, some very ugly. But how do you find the one that's right with the right skill set and that's been independently assessed? And that's what Solar does. My role in it, it's a minor role in some degrees because I serve on an advisory board. So I'm one of about a dozen people. Some are advisors, some are from policy background, some are ex-government, some are social services, social care, some are from the legal profession, some are from product providers, financial providers. And between us, we've all got different knowledge, background and skill set. And so that's all shared in proper meetings with minutes, as you might imagine. And we feed into the main board and we help them set policies and decisions. So it's quite a detailed discussion that we'll have at very long meetings, 3, 4, 5, 6 times a year, now done by Zoom. We help steer the policy. My specialism is equity release, and recently the Solar Society of Later Life Advisors has launched a standard for equity release specialists and people advising people on borrowing money in later life. And I've been at the core of that in terms of writing the content and the policy and helping that get up and running so that we can have something whereby if a member of the public wants, say, equity release advice or on a lifetime mortgage, a retirement mortgage, something of that ilk, they too feel they've got somewhere they can go to, someone they can find that's attained a higher level.
Okay, excellent. So, I mean, as you just said there, so your particular area of expertise is equity release and matters relating to that, and that's the main reason I wanted to have this chat with you, really. So, as equity release hasn't always had the best reputation. Some of that probably well-founded historically, other bits maybe not so much. So maybe useful if you could maybe sort of recap what was it about equity release back in the day that kind of caused that reputation. When did things sort of change? How have they changed? How is it better now?
Okay, thank you, Nick. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, I've been around in financial services since 1988, and it was like the Wild West in many ways. And equity release was just a means, really, of some companies and advisors and solicitors to do easy business, and it was ill-conceived. Everything that could have gone wrong with equity release did go wrong. So back in 1991, it was put right to a large degree, not entirely, but to a large degree by the formation of a trade body. Back then it was called SHIP. The acronym stood for Safe Home Income Plans. And then around about 2009 or 10, I think it would probably be, that reinvented itself as the Equity Release Council. And by then, equity release was already rapidly becoming respectable. It had been regulated since 2004 in terms of lifetime mortgages. And of course, when the regulator comes in, they don't take any nonsense. And the Equity Release Council, although it's not a regulator, membership's totally optional. It's put in place a set of rules and guidance for advisors, because what it did is it gave a framework for advisors, providers of these equity release loans, solicitors and surveyors, so all parts of the supply chain, if you like, to sign up to and say, we will do this and we will do that, we'll do the other. So it provides people with peace of mind. And you ask, how's it better? Well, being regulated is one thing, but that's also a mixed blessing because regulators can come down heavy and make you do things that aren't always in the best interest of yourself or your customers. But in the main, it's made sure that there are no tardy practices, and the advice given to a client must be right for them. But what the Equity Release Council has done also is go a little bit further in a way by underpinning certain guarantees. So very briefly, the fact that you can never lose your home as long as you live in it, insure it and maintain it. You can stay in it for life. Secondly, when we have interest rates now, you have the option for variable or fixed. Everybody goes for fixed. Why wouldn't you? And one of the main benefits of that is that it's fixed for life. Other elements are that you have to take independent legal advice now. You didn't used to. That's really important. And when I joined the Standards Board, we went a stage further and changed it so that was given face to face. So that if an advisor's not done a great job or they've not picked up on certain things, a solicitor can make sure that it's belt and braces, that borrower knows what they're doing, they understand the terms they're signing up to, and there's nothing that's going to give them any rise for fear in the future.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Thank you for that. So I think it's probably fair to say that equity release isn't right for everyone. But are there sort of certain types of people or situations where it works particularly well?
Okay, thank you, Nick. The way I view equity release is that it's just one potential solution to a circumstance, to an issue that a client faces. And there are many reasons where it can often be better to take equity from the house. And a prime example for that might be, for example, if at the moment we're under lockdown, we've seen the stock market decimated. Certainly last year, back in April, May, when we saw a big drop in portfolios, and everybody stripping out regular sums of money to give them a form of retirement income, might have been better off saying, well, shall I look at the house instead? While interest rates are at record lows, that might be a better option for me. It could be something very basic, and it could just simply be that I need a bit of money to do up the house. A common one, for example, is we get a lot of people in the 70s and 80s deciding that they're in their forever home, but they're planning for the next 10 to 20 years, or hoping to, and thinking, well, it's not quite ready for that, so we need to make some adaptations. So we see people planning ahead, and then we have people who are in a more immediate needs situation. A common one for us in particular is paying for care at home. So they want to stay at home, but they need the money to pay for it because it's not cheap. And so you turn to your own resources to pay for it, and releasing equity on the drip to meet the bills as they arise can be a good way of doing just that.
Okay, cool. And so am I right in thinking that sort of the modern equity release plans then are more flexible than the older ones?
Absolutely right, Nick. And the old plans were pretty inflexible. Going way back, you just got a lump sum, and that was it. At a high interest rate that was fixed, and there was no options. Totally inflexible, not really ideal, and it was quite a big decision to make. Roll forward to 2021, and we have a massive amount of flexibility. Just to give an example, we can have providers will provide a pot, a drawdown facility is what they call it, or a pot to you and I, and you take from that pot only what you need, only when you need it. So it's a very useful way of planning ahead for something as a contingency. You may or may not need it, but it's there.
Excellent. And in terms of sort of the scale or the range of properties and values that can be used, what's your experience sort of in terms of the kind of the smallest, lowest value up to the other end?
Set by each lender with their own criteria and appetite. So without testing my knowledge too much, I think at the moment the lowest property value is around about 75,000. You don't see many properties of that value, of course, anyway. A lot of lenders have a minimum of about 100. Most properties will go above that because the average in the UK is rapidly approaching 300,000 anyway. So rarely is it an issue. The upper end, there is no upper end on property value. Some providers will cap their valuation. Some lenders will put a cap on how much you can borrow. That varies enormously. Some are just around £600,000, but there are others that will go up to £1 million or £2 million.
Okay, excellent. So how did you find 2020? How did that go for you and for the business?
Personally, I cope with it very, very well. Struggling in 2021 with lockdown 3. I've got to mix. I normally go to the gym and I can't, and it's starting to get through all this bad weather, and I'm climbing the walls a bit and not sleeping. But business-wise, it's been pretty good, to be honest. So I've got this nice little firm. We're all busy. Our diaries, even though we're doing it all by Zoom and WhatsApp and phone call now, they're pretty much full. Most weeks we've 6-7 meetings each with clients or professional advisors like yourself and doing this sort of thing. It's been fine, to be honest, and we're seeing increased inquiries, increasing people looking to do equity release. The only thing that I have noted as a trend, which we're very mindful of, is that we do have people who are very anxious and potentially vulnerable. So we try and slow them down a bit and calm them down. We're getting people who are two extremes, either those putting off equity release because they don't know what's going on in the world, and that's what we do as human beings. When we're uncertain, we can take no action. That's the wrong thing to do. But equally so, we are seeing people who are panicking and looking to do it at the wrong time, in my opinion, for many of them, and for the wrong reasons. So we try and give them balanced judgment and a sensible, calming conversation.
Okay, excellent, thank you. So what are your kind of thoughts and hopes for 2021 and beyond?
An end to this madness would be nice. Being able to go and see my mum in Rotherham and give her a big hug and a kiss again would be nice. She's definitely shielding. And getting my kids back to school so they're not hanging around here taking up all the broadband. But no, in seriousness, for people just to feel a bit more at ease with themselves, I think there's been tremendous amount of stress on everybody, every profession, every individual, every age, sex group. We've all been affected. There can't be anybody out there that's sitting there and not feeling the impact of this. So I'd like to see normality to some degree, businesses functioning, cafes and bars open again, and the gym's definitely open, and able to walk the hills in freedom. They're the things I like to see personally. Business-wise, I would like to see that equity release is given its proper place at the table, and so that people, instead of just dismissing it based on outdated thoughts and misconceptions that really still persist 30 years later after they were put to bed, just look at it for what it is. It's a means of taking some money from a house that you've probably paid off a mortgage on. You own it debt-free, and it's now time for it to pay you back in some shape or form, and actually be leveraged as an asset. Otherwise, it's just on a balance sheet that you're leaving to your kids, and they don't want to move in when you've gone anyway. They're just going to sell it. So using it and deploying it within the wider context of what you people do as financial planners is what I'd like to see. And then within the equity release industry, I'd like to see some changes to some of the practices that are out there. It's very sales-led rather than advice-led, and I think that's not right. People are treating it like a bit of a commodity. Hit a button, can I have my money? The adverts on the TV, smiley, happy people skipping along sandy beaches hand in hand. They're always gorgeous, and they're always enjoying it. It's not really like that. A lot of it is to sort bills, to fix homes, to make people feel better physically and mentally, and to help family. It needs to be given a more grown-up, mature outlook, in my opinion. I'd love to see that happen, and I'll do my best to try and make that happen.
Okay, I think that's really a good positive note there to kind of finish on. So thank you for your time. I found it really interesting, and hope our viewers did too.
Brilliant. And if I can help again, let me know. Thank you, Nick.
Okay. Cheers. Thank you.